jam here, okay? And this piece is called Revolution Was Simple When I Was a Kid. When I was a young Latino growing up in my parents' adopted land, there was always the notion that to free Puerto Rico, revolution was obviously the only logical plan. You see, I realized early in life that when my people were brought here to fill a void in the peasant mass, we were mostly uneducated Boricuas working for slave wages to enhance the lives of the privileged class. When Lolita Lebron attacked the U.S. Capitol, she was criticized by many of her own kind who feared their perceived benefactors would bring them great pain. They couldn't see the purpose of her actions was to deliver her people from bondage, effectively moving those slavery chains. Pedro Albizu Campos, our voice against oppression, was arrested, jailed, and poisoned with radiation that ultimately riddled his body with cancer to prevent him from fighting for his nation. Watching as too few of us were being allowed to achieve the American dream, truth was that the majority of us were relegated to existing in drug and crime-infested streets with no way out, it seemed. On 116th Street, the Independentistas, preaching from their metaphorical soapboxes, assured me there is no way but revolution to set our people free. Revolution was oh so simple then. Then during one of my many summer trips to Puerto Rico, at a time when a plebiscite election was being held, the majority of the islanders voted to remain in the status quo. How could this happen, I wondered? The guys on the soapboxes on 116th Street told me this wasn't the way to go. What made things worse and somewhat diminished my hopes was that the Independence Party got the least amount of votes. So I asked my grandfather, yo, how could this be? Why wouldn't the people of Puerto Rico want to be free? It's all about money, he said. That's why the Independence Party will always be beat. What good would freedom be if you ain't got anything to eat? I must say I hadn't considered that thought, probably because everything I've ever needed, my mom and dad always bought. I researched why the U.S. kept Puerto Rico as a colony and found that strategically, as the gateway to the Panama Canal, it provided a perfect military port. Not because they wanted another population of poor people to support. Today, with the Navy out of Vieques and a military presence that's a fraction of what it was in the yesteryear, the only thing that's really keeping the money rolling is the millions of mainland Puerto Rican voters that can swing an election or ruin a political career. Hopefully, after a century's history of conquest, bondage, genocide, subjugation, colonization, and occupation, Puerto Rico can look to a bright future as a sovereign land. A country that will be able to survive on its own without ever the need of a helping hand. Prior to a realization of becoming free, we must be able to stand on our own economically. It's not prudent to rush the U.S. president from Puerto Rico if it will necessitate exchanging one master for another, one who may be careless about a cultural identity while at the same time calling his brother. To those in such a rush for freedom that they will sacrifice their own, I say, how about a thoughtful transition to independence? This much, at least, we're owed. Yeah, got some more. It's irresponsible to call for freedom at a juncture when it will cause many to starve. First, we need ideas like producing ethanol from sugar, so maybe a niche in the world's economic community we could carve. To all my brothers and sisters whose views are socialistic, the romantic notion of a population, of a popular uprising and insurrection is not realistic. I, for one, refuse to follow blindly just to satisfy my freedom thirst, because I need to know what fucking plans you have for my people first. Revolution was simple when I was a kid. Today it's complicated, just like the man I've become. I'm TainoImage. Thank you.
Yeah.